Ladies and gentlemen, it might not look like it, but we have actually seen some progressions here in the Bitcoin charts, and those progressions are mainly coming from short term. There is a short term pattern that has formed now. It is a major, I would say major, because this pattern, let's just be very clear here, if it breaks to the downside, it would entail a breakdown from a major ascending support line stemming backwards from 2018. And more importantly, it would entail a breakdown from the weekly chart RSI support zone that stems backwards from 2018 as well. If we break back to the downside, it becomes very, very likely that the whole crypto market gets dragged down further, potentially into a bear market. So a lot is actually surprisingly riding on this hourly chart descending wedge formation. It's not specifically an hourly chart descending wedge formation. That's just the time frame I'm looking at it on. But it's a descending wedge formation stemming from August 19th. And it will be reaching a breakout within probably 24 hours. I mean, the apex point's probably more like the 9th of September. But if we look, how long can we just range here? I mean, for me, it's within 24 hours, maybe 30 hours or so. So this is really critical because, I mean, as I've just mentioned, we literally cannot afford to break this wedge formation down. If we break down here, right, we're going to be breaking down from these support zones right on top of the bottom of the wedge. And if we do that as well, we're going to be breaking down from the weekly chart RSI, which will lead to a major directional move. So I'm going to explain all of this in a bit more detail, but I mean, realistically, that's the detail you need fundamentally, but I will go into it a bit further just so you understand the full capacity of what a downside move would mean here and why it's absolutely urgent that Bitcoin breaks upwards. Now, luckily, the short-term TA is on our side here. So I'm not going to say I've got high hopes, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's wait until that channel breaks before we get too optimistic, of course. But I'm going to dive into it now. So before we get into it, guys, it's going to be a quick one today, by the way. The Bitunix and Bingx exchanges, two exchanges you need to be on, or at least one of them you need to be on, right? Take your pick. I've got my referral links down below with 15% trading fee discounts for life available just by signing up with that referral link. So go and click on that link, sign up, get your 15% trading fee discount, and get access to an exchange that is global, non-KYC, that has never been hacked before, and that's very low in trading fees to begin with, made even cheaper, of course, with that referral link discount. So take your pick there, Bitunix or Bingx, very good. Use the links down below. Let's get into the content. Now, I don't want to bore you. I've done this about 15 times in the last 2 weeks. I'm just going to explain this weekly chart here, right? I want to be clear. Every single person in this market right now should be watching a couple of things. One of the things they should be watching is the developments in the macroeconomy, because it's the macroeconomy that is leading right now to this plague of uncertainty and this plague of consolidation, right? It's the fears of recession. Half people think we're going to see a recession. Half the people think we're going to see quantitative easing and inflation. I discussed that very extensively in my video 2 days ago. Go take a look at that if you're interested. That's not what I'm discussing today. What I'm discussing today is the charts, right? And the Bitcoin weekly chart is, without a doubt, the second thing, right? The most important thing you should be watching right now, the weekly chart on Bitcoin. Now, why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you why, right? A weekly chart on Bitcoin is the best way in which you can identify the macro structure itself, which is a descending channel formation. Furthermore, the weekly chart is one of the best ways you can identify the ascending support line stemming backwards from 2018, cutting through very, very major price action and coming right through to where we are now. It closed a daily candle right on top of that line there on the 5th of August. And then we have another support line here from November stemming upwards. It marked at the bottom. All three of these lines, the bottom of the channel and the two yellow lines, form Bitcoin's structural support for this macro pattern, right? This macro consolidation range. If we break those three things, it's over. We go into a bear market. There's no reason for Bitcoin to break those three things at all. So either breaking them would lead to a bear market, or it would happen in a moment of pure irrationality in the charts, in which case we can't help that. We can't do anything about irrationalities. It happens sometimes, but for the most part, that's going to be bear market territory. Now, it's not just the price chart here, because obviously with the price chart, it's a descending channel formation. Doesn't really give us a very good idea of when we will break out. The good part about a triangle is a pattern that has an apex point, meaning there is a consolidating resistance zone and support zone coming together, so the price moves for a period of time, and then it has to move either upside or downside because there's nowhere else to go, right? The triangle is a cone shape, whereas a channel is a parallel couple of lines. You can go go on forever, really. Now, the good news is, if we bring up the weekly chart RSI, we see that there is a triangle formation here. And we know for a fact that the weekly chart RSI is very, very important. If we look at descending resistance lines that are formed on the weekly chart RSI in the past, we can see 3 off the top of our heads here, one of which breaking to the upside, leading to the COVID bottom and leading to a bull market, another of which leading to the bear market bottom in 2022 and leading to a bull market, another of which leading to the all-time high and ETF release. So, without a doubt, the weekly chart RSI and lines that form on the weekly chart RSI are incredibly valid. They generally lead to major macro decisions. And right now, guess what? We have a line on the weekly chart RSI, as you can see, stemming backwards from 18th of March, coming right through to where we are, forming a triangle formation with a line of support coming down from 2018. And again, forming an apex point on the 23rd of September, meaning that between now and the 23rd of September, we may not be making a move on the larger channel formation of the price chart, but we will be making a move on the weekly chart RSI, which will very likely influence massively the probabilities of the price chart channel breaking either to the upside or the downside. If we break this to the downside, it becomes very likely we break the channel to the downside and enter a bear market. If we break this to the upside, it becomes very likely we break the channel to the upside and renew the bull market. This is the severity of the situation right now. We are running out of space. We have to make a move very soon. And this is what I've been saying for the last couple of days. Everyone's asleep right now. Everyone's, having a little rest and just not looking at the charts and going to the beach and sitting in the sun. Reality is you should be locked into your computer screen 24/7 waiting for something to happen, because when it happens, it's going to be big, right? This weekly chart RSI is very, very big. Now, what you'll notice, and this is where we get into some new data here, because I know this is just recapping, what you'll notice is that we are on support here, meaning we are on the edge of a cliff, meaning we can't go downwards much further. Now, obviously we can into weekly candle close, but the weekly candle closes in 2 days and 11 hours. So, if we close below it, that's very, very bad news. It's not necessarily the, over for sure 100% bear market, but that would only happen when the price chart breaks down. But it's very, very bad news because it's indicative of a bear market coming soon, right? We don't really see fake outs very often from weekly chart RSI, descending resistance lines and ascending support lines. It happens, but it's very, very, very rare. Right, so we've established that within probably a week, right, probably this week sometime, within a week, we're going to be breaking out of this RSI triangle formation. We know that now. Now, we can move into short-term charts to determine when that may be more specifically and what structures are relevant on the price chart to give us an insight of what will happen there. And what we've noticed now, what I've noticed in the last couple of, realistically the last couple of hours, but even yesterday I was charting this up briefly, is if we bring out a more fleshed out chart of the descending channel formation with all these lines in here, you can kind of ignore most of them. The one thing you need to be looking at is this pattern right here, this descending wedge formation, as well as this major horizontal green support box. Two very important things in the short-term charts. What you'll notice is that Bitcoin has been in the wars for the last couple of days. It has been fighting for its life to hold on to that support zone, that horizontal green support block. And as you can see, it's been chopping up and down below it, but it has remained valid the whole time, right? We've seen candle closes right on top of it, multiple occasions. And what we've seen actually is that, even though we've dropped below it briefly, we are back above it right now. And on the drops below it, we were actually coming down to test a massive descending wedge structure, which you can see in yellow on the screen here. So it's the descending wedge structure, in my view, that has taken the authority on the shorter term charts rather than the actual horizontal price range itself. I mean, this box here itself, this horizontal support zone itself, because we've seen the fake outs to touch the descending wedge, meaning the descending wedge is the pattern of authority here. So I will be watching the descending wedge very, very closely. And what I can tell you, as I mentioned in the introduction, is that if we break that descending wedge to the downside, that will be a very, very, very bad sign, right? So this descending wedge could very well be life or death for Bitcoin, right? It's not guaranteed, it's not certain, but it could very well be life or death for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin breaks down here, that is really bad news. If it breaks up here, we get another chance. If Bitcoin breaks up here from this descending wedge, okay, what happens? It means that Bitcoin bounces from the weekly chart RSI pattern and gets an opportunity to break that pattern to the upside. So we would have a chance. So realistically, if you want Bitcoin to survive, you better be praying for your dear life. Get the rosary beads, get the bloody mat, get whatever you need, make a donation, sacrifice a lamb, do whatever you want, because we need Bitcoin to break upwards here so it can get another opportunity to make a move to the upside. and that's reflected through the Ethereum charts, which is hanging on to support for dear life. That's reflected through the S&P 500 chart, which is hanging on to support in the weekly chart RSI for dear life. It's reflected through all the charts right now. So that's the simple reality right now, guys. Get to praying. Obviously, I'm joking a little bit there, but I just want to mention, of course, that pattern is very, very important, and I will give you an update on what happens with that pattern tomorrow. So guys, thank you for tuning in to the TA today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, as well as checking out those exchanges that I mentioned. The referral links are down below for 15% trading fee discounts. And you can check out, of course, the Crypto Academy. If you want to learn how to trade, that's where you can do it. It's an educational course. We teach in slideshows, worksheets, PowerPoints, right? Which is a slideshow, of course. So videos as well, diagrams, all these kinds of things for every kind of type of learner, verbal, visual, practical learners. It's all there. It's on sale right now. Second last thing, we've got the VIP group on Telegram. If you want to trade altcoins with me on VIP, I post altcoin trading signals for you 4 times a week with a 78% win rate, historically speaking. So very good stuff. If you want to get access to that VIP group, altcoin trading signals, plus a group chat where you can discuss the market with other members 24/7, you can do so with the links down below. And the final thing I'll mention is my second channel. It's a podcast. I've got a podcast of some sort. It's kind of like a quasi podcast. It's not really a typical podcast, but I just kind of sit there and I speak to you. So if that doesn't really sound very enticing, but if you're interested in that, check out the titles there of those videos. If you want to watch any of those, you can check it out. It's JS Quinn on YouTube. Thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you tomorrow and give you an update on the situation.